G'day there folks, it's Connor here again from Marky Industries. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Anyway, we're reading some more stories from Reddit today, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alrighty ladies and gents, we're on relationship advice. This one was written by user B Stoner, and it's titled, Wife recently reconnected with an old friend and spending a lot of time with them. How do I handle this appropriately? To set the scene, my wife, 41 female, and I, 40 male, have been together for 15 years and have a child together, 5 female. Before we met, she was friends with KC, 44 male, whom she also had occasional sex with. She cheated with him on her last boyfriend before the relationship was over, something she mentioned once and forgotten since that she mentioned it to me. The reason she ended their friendship was because the last time they had sex, he didn't pull out, and she had to take Plan B. She was mad at him for that and decided to cut him out of her life. That was fairly recently before we met, and when she and I started dating, she was still in the process of clarifying to him that she didn't want anything to do with him anymore. Cue to now, she recently reconnected with him via another friend, and they've been spending an unusual amount of time together. Her friend pulled her into some sort of crypto thing and is currently teaching her and a couple of other friends everything about crypto investments. She wants to learn everything about crypto investing and is attending his boot camps, but in addition to that, she also hangs out with him taking walks and just being on the phone with him. I made it clear pretty early that I find it a bit weird that going from I don't want to see him anymore and after 15 years suddenly spending so much time with him, 0 to 100 right quick. She doesn't hide him though. She tells me when she hangs out with him or sees him and has so far been open about their interactions. He has 3 kids and is married. It came to a head today when she announced she was going to go out with him again, after last weekend where she said she'd be going for a walk with him at night for an hour and ended up spending at least 4 hours with him taking a walk and losing track of time. I told her in no unclear terms that she is a grown woman, but that the intensity of their contact is worrying and making me uncomfortable, and that if I felt this relationship became inappropriate, I would end things with her at the drop of a hat. She knows I've been cheated on in the past, and that I have a zero-tolerance policy towards cheating and cheaters. I despise it, and have never done it myself. She's upset now and currently outside in front of our house door talking on the phone. I assume she's talking to him. Meanwhile, I'm looking after our daughter and her friend. Yeah, if I was OP, I'd be feeling a lot more uncomfortable than he's letting on here. Let's go to the comments. Taking a 4-hour walk with a former affair partner? Dude, she's banging him. The poor guy's in complete denial. It's obvious to everyone else. She cheated with him before, and she understands why that is a concern for you. She wants a relationship with this guy more than she cares about hurting you. She's dating this guy right in front of you. You are underreacting. Wait, she goes for a walk with him at night, says it will only take an hour, and comes back 4 hours later, and you really think that they aren't already cheating on you and his wife? Seriously. Say, what have they talked about for 4 hours that was such an intense talk as that she forgot time, knowing that you would feel uncomfy with that situation? Must have been a pretty intense topic. Her reaction to you now telling her that you worry, like running away from you to be on a call with him instead of taking your worries serious, would be the nail in the coffin for me. Given their history, this man can never be just a friend. It's not controlling to have a boundary that they can never be alone together. I'd be talking to lawyers at this point. Opie updates in the comments 4 hours later. Not sure how I'm allowed to participate in this conversation, such arbitrary rules on this sub, but we just had another argument before she walked out to meet with him. She put our daughter to bed, and before she left the house, she wanted to talk. Defended him in their friendship and asked why I didn't have a problem with her other exes. I've met 2 of them and they're both stand-up guys, and she does hang out with them occasionally, but I'm not worried about them. I told her this is different, that context matters, and that I really don't understand why she thinks it's appropriate or even acceptable to meet with the former friends with benefits and spend so much time with them. I brought up that she cheated with him, to which she corrected me that it was someone else who she cheated with on her last boyfriend, some guy with a similar name, whatever, and that they only had sex in between relationships. And then she stated that they talked out what happened between them with the unprotected sex, but that I wasn't willing to hear it, because I told her I don't want to hear anything about the guy as I don't like him. To this, I got pretty angry, asking her if she is really discussing past sexual encounters. She said yeah, it had to be talked out. We went in a few circles after, but basically it was the same stuff. I don't think it's appropriate, I'm not comfortable with the intensity of their friendship, and that at the moment I feel she's not being truthful. I'm walking out. Also reiterated my point that she's a grown-ass woman and can do what she wants, but she isn't free of the consequences of her actions. In the end, she stood there with tears in her eyes and a look of contempt I've seen before when she's about to lose her crap, but kept her cool and said she's going off to see him, tried to kiss me goodbye, and I told her no. She then walked towards the door ranting about me being unreasonable, and I told her again that she's a grown-ass woman and that she can do as she pleases, but that she needs to be ready for the consequences of her actions. Slammed the door shut and drove off. I guess we'll see what happens when she comes back. Well, yeah, I mean, everyone losing their cool aside, if I got into a fight with my girlfriend over a guy, and then after the fight she went to go see that guy, it would be over for me. I mean, surely there's no coming back from that. If she's not already cheating on him now, then she definitely will be the next time she sees this guy. One comment asks, does the wife of the old friend know about their past friendship? Yeah, they know each other and used to be friendly. His wife used to actually be good friends with my wife apparently, but they lost touch with each other after we moved away for a while, and his wife only married him years after that friends with benefits thing went down, even though she already had a kid from him or something. That's at least what I remember. I don't have any contact with her. It's all a bit convoluted. I'm a very different person to my wife. She has tons of friends. I only have a couple. She's very social and I'm not, etc. And about the possible cheating, yeah, I'm upset, but also I feel a bit numb about all of this. Just exhausted, I guess. Anyway, we won't be sharing a bed tonight. I'm going to watch a movie and sleeping in the guest room. Reading your past posts, you two were on shaky ground when you were dating. Now that this man has re-entered her life, this relationship is over. She was looking for a way out, and she found it by cheating on you, in front of your face, with your approval until now. I'm sorry, but sometimes your love isn't enough to keep the other person in love with you, and they'll do anything they can to end it, besides actually telling you they're finished with the relationship. Opie says, yeah, we've had our ups and downs for sure. Recently, we've stabilized a bit after lots of individual therapy to deal with my anger and resentment towards her, but current events throw a wrench into that. Numbed out is all I feel right now. Curious what my therapist has to say about this, to be honest, seeing her next week again. Has Opie's wife cheated on him before? No, she never cheated on me, at least that I know of. This behavior of hers is not totally out of the norm for her, like meeting friends, even male ones, and I never had a weird feeling about it. It's almost never new people, but people she's known longer than me. Generally, I'm not a very jealous person. The current issue is on the surface only a little different, obviously. She knows him longer than me, normal, and she meets up with him, usually also normal, and they used to bang way back. Alright, weird, but she's friends with exes. But the problem I have is she cut him out of her life and now is pulling him back in, and went from 0 to 100 in terms of contact within only a couple of weeks. Why doesn't Opie go meet with his wife's old friend and see what the crypto-related stuff is all about? Well, she has invited me to meet him to come to his boot camps. I'm just not interested in him and his BS. Fair enough. An update 1.5 months later. So after she ran off to meet him at some bar, she came home around midnight. I was still up as I was watching something on TV, looked over at her, and she looked unsure. She sat down at the edge of the couch where I was sitting and said she's sorry she got so angry. She met with him and they talked about the situation. Apparently he told her that I am right, that it is weird they're spending so much time with each other, and she called a few friends to talk and get their opinion. They mirrored the same sentiments, that it's hard not to think of this as having at least an emotional affair. To be honest, I was still beyond ticked. And to hear that she only came to realize it when other people told her it was inappropriate, not just me, wasn't helping. She explained that she is learning something from him that is giving her a new lease of life, and to her, it's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to finally start contributing financially and acquiring the skills to generate a bigger income. He's apparently a quite successful day trader and has been teaching her and a group of other people how to day trade in extreme detail. She insisted she show me what she was doing, so I let her chew my ear off for an hour about day trading, looking at her programs, charts, indicators and all of that, ranting about financial markets, etc. She's learned trading with leverage and stuff I have no clue about, but it amazes me that a woman who is too ADHD to read boring government forms and gets overwhelmed with simple adult stuff like communicating with municipalities or banks and hates math is diving headfirst into something as complex as crypto day trading. Still, she seemed surprisingly knowledgeable about all of this, and knowing how long it takes her to grasp things she's not interested in, I was impressed. And she was still defiant about the whole spending inappropriate amounts of time stuff. I told her she needs to cool it with the contact, but I won't stand in her way learning something that she feels is a major opportunity for her. We agreed on ground rules: no evenings or weekends, no phone calls past 6 p.m, and no one-on-one meetings, only group settings. She's been stretching these rules every now and then, but largely kept to them. When she needed to bend them, she speaks to me beforehand and gives me ample of heads up, but hides her resentment of having to follow these rules. Still, she seems to want to keep the peace for now and is being proactive. Things have cooled down to a degree where I don't get angry anymore anytime she mentions him. Anyway, other than that she now thinks she's a pro and a future millionaire and constantly talks about trading, it's been bumpy for other reasons outside of this weird friendship. Her trading talk is annoying as crap, and I still think she's got a little crush on her big trader hero. I've grown a bit distant in the last couple of months because this whole situation emotionally drained me, but we are keeping things going. I know this is not the dramatic cheating and infidelity story some people were expecting. It's a pretty severe rough patch in an average normal people relationship. She's not cheating on me physically, I think. She might have a crush, which happens in a long-term relationship, and I have other crap to deal with at the moment that I just can't expend the energy to obsess over this every day for hours, or fight this into a dramatic my way or the highway conclusion. I don't want to blow our marriage up just to satisfy other people's personal convictions on how a relationship should be like. It's crap right now, but it's our crap. My instinct tells me it's a passing fancy, and if things go sideways still, I can always walk out. This will be my last and only update. Someone asks, is Opie's wife likely to do some crypto trading? I understand enough that I know she's only gambling. Yes, I call it gambling, small amounts. She's had a 100% hit rate so far and only traded small amounts, $50 here, $100 there. Her strategy is to only trade in a way where the money is so small that her leverage is super high, as in 50 times the amount she puts in, that she never risks coming near a liquidation price or whatever that means. It seems low risk enough in a high risk environment. Does Opie's wife have access to his savings? Nope, no chance in hell. She has no access to savings. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty smart when you have a wife that's addicted to crypto day trading. Anyway guys, that's the end of that story, at least on paper. I have a feeling this is not concluded. This relationship seems to be in dire straits right now. Anyway guys, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think this will last or not? Either way, we're going to move on to another story. Alrighty, moving over to Am I the A-hole? This one was written by user Rude College, and it's titled, Am I the A-hole for having second thoughts about marrying my fiancé after a drunk comment? Not sure why I'm even here. Guess I'm still trying to process what my, 27 male, fiancé drunkenly admitted to me, 30 female, last night. For context, my fiancé, who I'll refer to as Alex, and I have been together for just under 2 years and got engaged in December. Everything has been a blast since the day we met, and we keep surprising each other with just how awesome of a couple we can be. Last night we had a special date night for New Year's planned, where we dressed up like bowlers from the 1970s and bowled our asses off for a few frames until we finally decided on a winner. During the 5 games, we ended up drinking 2 of those beer towers, about 7 beers each altogether. He's not a big drinker, so he was a little more than tipsy when we decided to call it a night and head home. We live really close by, so we walked to and from the bowling alley since we figured we were going to be drinking. On that 15-minute walk home, he was doing the usual mushy, I love you, and other cute little things he tells me while giggling. Things took a bit of a turn when he started talking about how much he enjoys our sex. He's always told me that we have amazing sex and that he can't get enough, but in his drunken state, he told me something different. You're the 3rd best that I've ever had. I stopped walking for a second and just stared at him in disbelief. Alex just looks at me, giggles again, and kisses me. Thinking he was just saying that on purpose to agitate me a bit like he does, but not really mean it, I laugh it off and we keep walking. Once we get home and sit on our front porch, he brings it back up. I really do mean it though, babe. You're amazing, but I've had better before you. I was as confused as I was mad, embarrassed, and offended all at the same time. I asked him what the hell he was saying to me and if he was being serious. He started crying and told me that he had a one-night stand before he met me with some woman that was like a sex goddess. He also mentioned a past fling with a guy when they were both teenagers and experimenting with the drugs. Both of these confessions took me completely off guard because he never in our time together mentioned anything about being bi-curious or anything like that, let alone promiscuous sex. My commitment to Alex is starting to change now though, and I haven't been able to look at him all day and avoided him. I'm having second thoughts about following through with a marriage if he'll always think of me as third place prize. Even if I did think there was something about Alex that wasn't as good as a past relationship, I wouldn't openly tell him that I thought he wasn't as hot, handsome, or has a small dick, etc. That just seems kind of mean and feels a little malicious or petty. Am I the a-hole for reconsidering the engagement? Yeah, like when he first said it, I kind of thought, okay, maybe he's just drunk saying something a bit stupid and just joking about it, but then he just kept doubling down on it. Yeah, this just seems malicious at this point. Let's go to the comments. Not the a-hole. Saying it once was a slip, twice was deliberate. You're not the a-hole for having second thoughts. What he said was hurtful and unnecessary, even if he was drunk. It's okay to take time to process this and decide if you can move past it together. Sounds more like he wanted to unleash the truth, but didn't want the repercussions of doing it while sober. Now he can just say he was drunk. Not the a-hole. I mean, he clearly thought a lot about this to make this list. Go into even more detail about the women, and to knowingly hurt your partner, to what end exactly? Like that screams, I don't like you anymore, doesn't it? Laughing like a sociopath while doubling down. Who would want to marry this person? OP updates 2 days later. So, Alex tried to apologize. The morning after we went out, he pretended everything was okay and was as sweet with me as usual, but I was short with him and ignored his text all day leaving for work. When we both got home in the evening, I still couldn't even look at him, and so he asked me what was wrong, and I told him. Apparently he hardly remembers a thing after we finished bowling. He recalls walking home and saying some things he felt embarrassed about, and then sitting outside and cuddling with me on the porch. I told him exactly what I remember him saying, and he looked mortified. He apologized profusely and told me I'm the only person he slept with and ever cared about this much. But I told him he'd humiliated me and made me feel like I was the problem and needed some time apart, so he volunteered to go stay with his brother to give me some space. He's since spent the rest of the evening and today trying to make it right, leaving voicemails and texting that he really didn't mean to hurt me and that he was drunk and stupid. He kept reiterating that I'm the best thing that's happened to him and the sex he had before was meaningless and that you're my number one as far as anyone I've slept with that matters. It just made me madder. Like now he's lying to save face and trying to manipulate me into feeling like I'm overreacting and making me feel like a lesser partner in bed. I finally told him to stop it and told him I didn't believe a word he said anymore and that even if he's being sincere, nothing he says will undo the fact that deep down he'll always think of me as a consolation prize to some sex goddess and his male buddy. I'm honestly also second guessing if he even likes women, and I'm not ready to deal with being with someone who's questioning their sexuality. He started crying again and said he just wanted to open up to me since we've never had the conversation about previous partners, and in his drunk state, he thought we were at that point where we could have honest conversations, but regrets the timing and letting it slip while drunk. He said he'd move out and leave me alone, but hopes I won't share what he told me with family and mutual friends, which I agreed to. I don't feel bad about ending things. He clearly didn't think before speaking, and now he's just trying to patch it up and minimize it as a mistake and an attempt at an honest conversation, when I know he's just trying to lower my self-esteem and make me feel like I need to turn into a sex goddess in bed or be more like a man. I've realized my self-worth, and I'm no one's bronze medal. I appreciate all of the comments and kind words on the last post, helping me realize this. One comment says, I cannot believe this guy tried to twist this into his being honest and opening up to her. This reads like those weird posts where men say that you should never open up to a woman because she'll pull away if she thinks you're vulnerable. Also interesting that initially he had no recollection of what he'd said and then changed to his wanting to be open and honest. Wait until Opie comes back with an update saying that he's spreading terrible lies about her when explaining to people why they broke up. Opie replies, "I was worried about this, but fortunately so far it sounds like he's just told mutual friends that he made a huge mistake while drunk. One of them reached out to me and thinks he cheated and told me I deserved better, so I'm just not going to deny it and leave it at that at this point." Look, there are a few things going on here. 1. Alex drunkenly said something on purpose to agitate me a bit like he does. He has a track record of riling you up. I'm assuming both drunk and sober. Not great. 2. He chose to use his real, true, honest opinion of your prowess to do so. Not great. And 3. He revealed he's bisexual. We're well past bi-curious if he's ranked this guy at number 2 of all time. You don't have to worry about dealing with him questioning his sexuality. He put a woman at number 1 and a guy at number 2, so end of story. Bisexual. He's obviously been avoiding telling you for a long time, and he only did it while he was plastered, so it's pretty likely he's been afraid to tell you. And if you have a problem with dating or marrying a bisexual person, well, there's a word for that, and he was right to be afraid. Assuming your significant other is instantly going to cheat or turn out to be gay or dump you for a person of another gender on the big reveal is prime biphobia and a very common experience for bi people, especially men, so there's every chance you're not the first. So in short, you've got a couple of issues on number 1 and number 2. A guy who likes to rile you up for fun and was willing to put you down to do so, but on number 3, you're kind of the a-hole. And remember, there's every chance he used this whole "your third best" routine as a very roundabout, stupid, awkward way of bringing up his sexuality. And you could probably find out if you straight up ask him why he never told you sooner. If you're willing to lose an awesome relationship because you're not willing to be with someone bisexual, that's your loss. Opie replies, "He told me he's never been attracted to men and that one experience as a teenager was his only time being sexual with a man. And he thinks the reason it came out while drinking is that he rarely gets drunk or does drugs these days, and his state that night made him remember how it was a surprisingly good experience, and made him want to experiment with prostate stimulation more. I don't know if I believe him, but even if it's true, it kinda gave me the ick to think about him liking that type of stuff." Did Opie give the ring back to her ex and move on? He told me to keep the ring and hoped we could at least stay amicable long term. Honestly, it's okay if you're not your partner's best lay ever because people are package deals. An 8 out of 10 lay with a 10 out of 10 personality is a no-brainer compared to a 10 out of 10 lay with a 2 out of 10 personality. But Jesus Christ, keep it to yourself. Also, it's a good idea to get your partner good and drunk once or twice before making the big commitment. You can learn a lot about someone very quickly. I've been called out for the drunk comment. Let me rephrase. If your partner's a drinker, see what they're like drunk. You don't want to marry someone who turns into a monster. Yeah, good advice. And that's the end of that story. What are your thoughts about that one? Let me know in the comments down below. Anyway, we're going to move on once again. Okay, we're back over on relationship advice. This one was written by user Professussi, and it's titled, "My partner won't let me sleep, and I don't know what to do." First off, I'll say I have sleep issues. I find it very difficult to get to sleep and stay asleep, despite taking medication for it, and when I finally do sleep, I snore. I've tried so many fixes for this, nose strips, adjusting positions, spoken to many GPs about it, nothing's worked. I can't control it. My partner has taken to, instead of rolling me over, just losing his patience and kicking doors open, yelling, screaming, hitting the bed to scare me awake. This has started a few months ago and was super infrequent, but has now picked up and is happening multiple times a week now. I'm now having an even harder time getting to sleep. Bedtime is giving me so much anxiety. My body is like on a hair trigger now. I wake up at the slightest noise and never fully drift off anymore because I'm just expecting to be woken up in an extremely aggressive manner. I feel like I'm at the end of my tether. How do I get them to listen and just let me sleep? I mean, it's ridiculous to be scared of going to sleep when your partner is home, isn't it? I don't know what to do anymore. I can't just up and leave him because he's totally dependent on me financially, and I don't have anywhere I could stay. We live paycheck to paycheck. It's not like I can just sleep somewhere else and still support us. He's so angry all the time now, and I don't know how much longer I can be around him. I just want to be left alone to sleep in peace. Wow, this guy's got serious issues. Let's go to the comments. You leave. This is abuse, plain and simple. Sleep deprivation is a torture tactic for F's sake. You kick him out. He can figure out someone else to abuse and leech off of. Have you been evaluated for sleep apnea? That is often a cause of snoring and can be a serious condition. Opie says, I'm in the process of trying to get my GP to assess me for this as I do fit all the criteria. We're doing the let's check off and rule out other options part before they'll do anything. Can Opie sleep in a separate room or does his husband use earplugs? We already do sleep in separate rooms. It doesn't help, no. He can hear me through the wall and apparently earplugs don't help either. Oh, I call bullcrap on that. Earplugs help for sure. Let's go to an update, 18.5 months later. I've never made an update to a post before, so I'm not sure if I'm doing this right. Please let me know. I posted well over a year ago now, close to 2 years at this point, about my sleep snoring issues causing aggression from my partner, and some people seemed really concerned for me in the comments, so I felt the need to update just so people know I'm okay. So to update, not long after the post, I sat down with him and explained how upsetting his behaviour was, and he changed it. We aired our grievances, did some reflecting, and realised it was unsustainable, so implemented changes and it worked. Isn't it wild how communicating can fix problems? A lot of people wanted me to dump him and leave, but we have been together for years. I wanted to give it another try to see if we can find a solution. First change was sticking strictly to separate sleeping areas, and sleeping separately helped so much. Seriously, we're so much better rested in our own spaces, and our sleep routines aren't being disrupted by each other. Also fun sleepovers with no sleeping, haha. Sleep deprivation was making both of us crazy stressed out, and we were not handling it well, him in particular. I've reached out to my GP since, and I'm currently still on a waiting list for a sleep study to confirm sleep apnea, which is not ideal, but at least there's movement there. Love the NHS, but don't love how long these wait lists take in my area. He also started therapy soon after my post, and we found out that he's autistic, which we suspected before but didn't know what to do about. He got diagnosed and really dove into resources on the topic, and we've both learned so much about how to deal with it. He's done so much work on recognizing and coping with being overstimulated. Yeah, the loud snoring, extra distressing for him with his sensory issues he didn't understand how to identify, and redirecting his anger into healthier outlets. He's now trying to get me assessed too. I'll say something like, "Where are the scissors? The way this thread is hanging off my sleeve and touching my arm makes me want to peel off my skin." And he'll just hold up a book on autism and point at me like, which is fun. And on our financial situation I mentioned in my post, it flipped. He found a job and then I lost mine, so we're no better off on that front. But sleeping, and as a couple, we're doing so much better. I want to thank so many commenters on my first post for helping me realise it was not healthy or okay for either of us. We're still working on it, but we're in a much healthier, happier place. Thank you. One comment says, I'm confused why none of the original fixes tried was sleeping separately. Opie said, we would move after being woken up. The change was starting to sleep in separate rooms entirely, so he isn't being woken up by me in the first place. Instead of us both going to sleep in the same bed and him being woken up and startled. Sorry for the confusion. I wonder how much of the change comes from the autism diagnosis and separate sleeping, and how much is simply the fact that he is now in the financially dominant position in your relationship. It's a lot easier to be nice when you're in control. Hope I'm wrong, just saying. What a wonderful update. So glad you two could work it out and move into a more healthy way of being in a relationship. Yeah, agreed. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. I'm surprised they didn't try that sooner, to be honest. Anyway, let's move on to another one. Alrighty, we're back over on relationships. This one was written by user What Does a Mum Wear? And it's titled, My husband is upset that I don't look more like a mum. Dan and I have been married for 3 years, and 8 months ago welcomed our amazing son into the world. He was very planned and wanted, and motherhood had been transformative for me. I was able to take 4.5 months maternity leave before going back to work. Without going into too many details, we both work white-collar jobs that require professional attire. A normal workday look for me is a skirt or pair of slacks, a silk blouse, pumps or boots, depending on the weather, but always with a heel because I'm 5'0", Maybe a blazer if I have a big meeting. Dan wears a suit almost every day. I also style my hair and do some makeup for work every day. This is what I wore before our son was born and what I continue to wear. Dan and I are pretty even in sharing parenting duties. I tend to take mornings because I'm more of a morning person than Dan. A normal morning for me starts early. Short workout, shower, get baby up, get baby ready, and baby off to Dan because the daycare is on Dan's ways to work. I'm normally dressed at the tail end of this process, but I keep my robe on over my clothes in case my son wants to give my outfit something to remember and buy on our way out the door. For the last month or so, Dan has been more irritable than normal in the morning. There have been side comments if he gets up and I'm drying my hair or getting dressed. Basically, if I'm not 100% focused on my son in the AM. Our son is happy playing and supervised, so I just chalked it up to morning moodiness, but it's been getting worse. Last night I brought it up in what I thought was a neutral, non-confrontational way. Basically, his answer was this. His mum was 100% a mum after her kids were born. She gained a fair amount of weight after she had kids and never tried to lose it. She wore sweatpants every day and works a job where she wears a uniform, so if she wasn't in her work uniform, she was in sweats and a t-shirt. She never did her hair or makeup. Her entire identity was being a mum, and she shared with me how hard it was to watch her kids start their own lives. Dan thinks I don't care about our son as much as he does, since I worked on losing the baby weight and still put effort into my appearance. I feel like keeping this part of my identity actually helps me to be a better mother. I love my son, but I'm still me, and I still have the things I like to do. Dressing well, blowing out my hair and doing my makeup are therapeutic to me. Now, that being said, my son is my life, and if I knew that not doing those things would guarantee him a happy, healthy life, I would stop immediately. I told Dan that my son and I have our morning routine, and he gets lots of time and attention before I go to the office. Dan said he wasn't looking to fight, but he just wanted me to think about my priorities and my time management. Is it normal for new mums to totally sacrifice all the things you like to do? Is this a sign of something deeper I need to address with my husband? Yeah, I can't say I've ever been a new mum before. Let's check the comments. Why the hell does he care that much about your appearance if it doesn't actually directly affect your son's life? I'm with you on this one. If it doesn't make a difference to how your son is treated, why can't you treat yourself and do your makeup, etc.? It's not like you're spending all that time and ignoring your son. I don't really get why he equates how someone looks with how good of a mother they are. Even if his mum was how you described, there are so many others who are good mothers but also take care of themselves. If it's not affecting your son, I don't see why you would need to change what you're doing. Opie replies, part of my job is sales and client service based. I feel like I have to look put together because that's what they expect. I didn't think it impacted my parenting. He should stop projecting his views of motherhood and memories of his own mum onto you. It's inaccurate and just a little creepy. It sounds like you're spending time with your kid, so he has nothing to complain about. I can't even begin to attempt the amount of logical gymnastics that would get me to think that dressing like a slob means you somehow love your kid more. She replies, it's basically that any time I spend doing stuff for myself is time that our son isn't the center of attention. But I am paying attention to our son. He's never neglected, and if I had to choose between straightening my hair and making my son feel better, my son wins without a second thought. I hate the way my wife bore me a child and still looks hot and gets up with our baby so I don't have to. Who is this guy? Right? What the F am I reading? Is he planning on going full dad, with growing beer belly, backwards hat, khaki shorts and dad joke t-shirt? This is so strange. Maybe he just thought all women stopped caring about themselves after having a child. Either way, you guys should definitely talk, and you should tell him that taking care of yourself is healthy and important to you. I would ask him if he can name one area or task that you need to improve on, related to actually mothering your baby, and not what he thinks a good mum looks like physically. Are you not quick enough about changing his diaper? Are you inattentive when he needs to be held? Husband's being totally unreasonable if he can't name a real result. Tell him you expect him to wear sweatpants, gain weight, only talk about his son, never go on nights out, or he's not a good enough dad. Sounds insane and unreasonable? Exactly. Also, frankly, it's good that you're addressing it now. Don't let him bully you into isolation or more than your fair share of family duties. He is not a mum. He doesn't get to dictate how you are a mum. Retaining your independence and sense of self is immensely important at this point in your life. You are more than a childcare vessel, just as he is more than that. Also, point out that you aren't his mother. Frankly, it's weird that he wants to remake you in her image. Yeah, agreed. On to an update, 10 days later. I had no idea my post would get so much attention. There was a lot of really solid advice, and one creepy PM warning me that by dressing in business attire and wearing lipstick and heels, I was being overly sexual around my child, and that would turn my son into a serial killer. Stay gold, Reddit. A couple of clarifying points. My mother-in-law did work when my husband was growing up. She just did not have an office job. She works in a medical field and wears scrubs every day. When she's not in scrubs, she's in sweatpants. Seriously, for our wedding, his family started a pool about whether or not she would wear sweats to the wedding. I did not suddenly get sexy after my son was born. I was slightly overweight before my son was born, and I'm back to my pre-baby slightly overweight shape. Now to the update. Dan and I went out without our son so we could talk. I told him that I was confused by his comment and I wanted to talk about it. I asked him if he could name specific things about the morning routine that made him feel as though our son was neglected. I offered to switch shifts, so to speak, if he thought our son should have more AM parent time. To make a long and confusing conversation short, Dan's confused by the fact that I got over my postpartum depression and I'm back to normal now. For some context, my PPD never made me question whether or not I loved my son or made me feel like we should never have had him. My PPD made me feel like I was constantly failing my son, that I wasn't good enough to be his mum, and that he deserved better. There were a few times I broke down and started crying, and would tell Dan that he was so much better at being a parent than I was, and that our son didn't deserve to have a crappy mum like me. Luckily, I have an amazing doctor who recognized that this wasn't just baby blues, and helped me get the help I needed. It could have been much worse. Basically, Dan only felt like a good parent when I was failing and telling him that I was terrible at it. Now that I'm doing better, he no longer feels like a good dad. It's crappy, but we're starting couples counselling. I'm continuing with the counselling I started for my PPD, and Dan's going to see someone too. We're going to figure it out, and I'm still going to wear heels to work even though it's going to turn my son into an axe murderer. And some final comments. Wow, I thought the update would be that her husband was trying to push OP into a stay-at-home mother role, or he was feeling insecure about OP looking good. Turns out there's a third option, trying to bring your partner down to make yourself feel like a better parent. Just wow. I really preferred it when my wife was cripplingly depressed because it made the bar lower for me. Maybe I can make her depressed again so I can feel superior. This woman is not nearly angry enough at her spouse. Her post was made almost a decade ago, and I just can't imagine that they're still married. He's angry at her for taking care of both herself and their son, and not just completely giving up on herself like his mum and transforming into a sweatpants-wearing blob. Honestly, no amount of couples counselling will fix that kind of disdain towards your wife. There's been a lot of crappy spouses in this sub, but this mother effer really said, "I'm mad that you got over your mental illness because your sobbing breakdowns make me feel like the better parent, so I tried to shove you back into postpartum depression by saying you were failing." That's not even touching that he specifically tried to make her spiral by saying she was neglecting her child, the exact thing she had breakdowns over. This guy freaking sucks. I was already on team F this guy at the beginning, now I'm on team punch him in the dick. Is it a reasonable response? It's 5 AM, it's as reasonable as I can manage. After 8 years since her last post, I truly hope the best for OP and her son, but I don't have the words or bandwidth to express how that F-word of a hopefully ex-husband makes me feel. How insecure do you have to be to undermine your post-PPD wife? Like Jesus effing Christ, dude. Happens a lot with couples when one of them starts to work on their issues and is no longer the needier or even weaker partner. This can happen when one partner suddenly has great career advancement, starts losing weight and getting in shape, or drops bad habits, or gets mental health treatment. The other partner is so used to being the supporter or strong one that they don't know what to do now that their partner is more of an equal and less needy. so they may try to sabotage in order to maintain the status quo. Alrighty guys, and that's the end of that story. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Interesting topic here. Anyway, that's it from me today. Hope you guys enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.